So let's set up the boss character. Okay, and because no shoot 'em up is complete without a boss, so we can set up our matinee to end, which already controls the spawning of the enemies, and we'll have it set it up so that there's a boss at the end waiting for us. Okay, so first things first, let's just go to the matinee actor here. I'm going to actually drop out of the properties here. Instead, I'm going to go to the blueprint, and I'm just going to go double click on the matinee actor here to get to his properties. You can also get to the properties here for the matinee actor. I'm going to scale up the play rate to be at 5, and let's just going to disable the enemy spawning for now, because I don't want them to spawn and kill me. I just want to get to the end of the level faster. Okay, so we can set up a boss right around there. First things first, let's actually make a boss blueprint. And here we go. Boss. And the boss is going to be basically made up of several meshes, one of which is going to act as a weak point, and then several spawn points for weapons that he's going to fire at us. Okay, so there's his root. We'll just add a scene that's actually going to act as a root, and we're just going to start adding some static meshes. We'll just duplicate, actually, won't duplicate them quite yet. Let's just add one thing for his core first. And his core can just be a sphere. Okay, and we'll add another static mesh that's going to be this frame. And these can just be cubes. And I'm just going to have a couple of these here. That frame here is at 125. This one can be at -125. And we can scale them up this way. So scale them up to 3x. And we kind of need something to block his core. So I'm going to add another static mesh, and this is going to be his core blocker. And I'll rename his core to actually represent the core, and this one's going to be another frame too. And so the core blocker, we have a static mesh which is a cube, like so. And this is going to move out of the way once you've destroyed several of his weak points. Just move this thing down so we can't actually shoot into here. So into 100 and -100 in Z. Okay. And I actually want to set up some spots where he's going to shoot. Just have some spawn points here and here. These are just going to be scenes. And this is going to be projectile spawn. Let's just spawn one. And move it out. And we'll just add an arrow for the child so I can see what it is. Okay. Okay, there we go. Alright, and I can duplicate this thing. Just put it at -155 in Z. Oh, interesting. Core 000. I see. Because the sphere is actually slightly bigger, so we'll just eyeball it. Seems good. Okay. So we're going to use these two figure out where to spawn the boss at. Spawn the weak points at. And so the idea is that he's going to spawn two things there. You're going to have to dodge fire, and then it's going to, once you kill them, it will open up this thing and move it out of the way so you can shoot the core. Okay, and you can make this thing look vulnerable. Let's give it a material that shows it as a core. You can make something based off of that. We can make something based off that. So let's make a material instance off that. For hex in the starter content. Okay, create material instance of my core, boss core. Okay, move that into my own, make a new folder here, materials. Let's go back to my boss core and move it. And go here, and I can just actually tweak these things. So 20 in the red and white otherwise. Okay, looks very much like a core to me. And we can change that to be boss core. Okay, let's put this guy in a level and see what it looks like. Just go to the end here, go to our blueprints, and put this guy in there. I know he's going to be 12, 11. And then we'll also just make sure he's spun around correctly. And raise this thing up. And let's put a light. And we might need to just rebuild lighting here. Okay. So boss. Cool. And let's see what it looks like when we actually get to him. He doesn't quite reach. Okay. There's our boss. Make sure he's set up to block. Oh. Yeah. This also has to be lined up with the rest of the level. The environment's kind of dark, but we'll deal with that later. Okay, so I'll make sure, let's make sure that our projectiles actually are stopped by him too. So I can't move, but yeah, my projectile's going right through him. So let's fix that. Currently, it's only caring if it's an enemy, and it's going to destroy itself. What we can also do is see if it's a boss. If the cast failed to an enemy, we can cast it to a boss, like so. And if it's true, we can just destroy ourselves as well, so that we don't go past him. And let's just make sure that I have this thing set up. Alright, this object needs to be here. Okay, cool. Alright, so we'll make a couple of things for the boss to fight us with. Make an actor. Call this thing BP boss gun. And I'm going to add a scene again. Call it root, data static mesh. This is just going to be a cone rotated to face, so. And give it something that material here. Just draw attention to it. Floor material sounds good. And let's just have the boss spawn at 2 of these things. When it spawns. We also we don't want to spawn these right away. We kind of actually don't want to start until the player has finished. So let's go through the level blueprint. And right now this thing is already stopping all the spawning of the enemies. What we'll do is, in addition to getting all the actors of the spawner, we'll get all the actors of the boss, like so. And let's put something in the boss that lets him do some kind of startup behavior. So we'll add a custom event, start up, compile, so it shows up in the level. And then, right, we don't want to do this on the loop body. We'll do this when it's completed here. And we'll do get. And then we will tell this thing to do startup. Which will let us have this thing be in the level, but he won't actually be like shooting you until after his guns have started. Now I can go here and I can spawn at each of these, spawn 1 and spawn 2. Call these spawn 2. Let's do this a little bit smarter actually. Compare both of these things to another thing, which is going to be the spawn root, which is the same thing we did for the player weapons. Okay. And what we can just do is grab the spawn root and grab all its children components. And we will, on startups, spawn to class. And we're going to spawn the gun, boss gun. And we're going to do this for each. Okay. And we're going to spawn it at the get transform, like so. And let's actually put a delay in between starting up and actually spawning. We'll get there at nail end. 2 seconds later, the boss will spawn. Cool. There are its little enemies. The level is really quite dark here. Just add a couple of point lights. Let's just do 2. I don't really know why those things are failing. Don't really care at this point. Okay, so there's the guns. So we can set up these guns so after they're spawned, just have to shoot some projectiles. So actually, before we have them shoot, let's see if I can blow them up. Yeah. And this like so. Projectile now it's collided with one of these guns and tell it so. So what I integer. And on the projectile, then we will cast to damage, and the damage he took. Like that. And these things are going to have health, the guns, the float, and maybe it has like 500 health. And what we just do is we'll subtract health from it. Whatever damage. Subtraction based on the damage. And then we will do branch. And what we'll do is we'll compare a float versus a float, see if health is less than. So if the float less than the float is less than 0, less than or equal to 0. So then just go to the actor. Cool. And now we can play. We should be able to shoot the boss. If we do 50 damage, it'll take about 10 shots. I probably forgot to hook this thing up again. It might be okay, 10 and 10. Alright, so what we'll do is when it goes to this side, we'll have a double boss as well. So the boss is going to respond to them, but we want the guns to tell the boss they died, so we create a variable for that. Store the boss, which is an object reference, and all we have to do is click this guy, editable, expose on spawn. Now he shows up here, and we can just blow a wire off that guy to get a reference to self. And then we make a custom event here. It's like done. And then that custom event can be called from the gun. What we'll do is grab the boss, type gun, and the boss will take care of figuring out if he has to expose his core or not. So gun died, and we will just have a variable here, guns alive, which is an integer. Okay, and what we're going to do is we will add 1 to it every time one of these spawns. If it goes less than or equal to 1, we will right, so use the branch here, and the condition will be if it's guns alive less than or equal to 0, means we've destroyed all our guns, and that means we need to expose the core. So make a custom event here. This is for another custom event. exposed cores, we'll just move it out of the way. So we'll add a timeline. Before we get to that, let me just finish this. Here, like so. I'm just going to animate moving out of the way. Go here. This core blocker just needs to move in X to negative 100-ish. 150 to negative 150. Timeline at a float. 5 seconds, so we'll add 4 keys. First key will be at 0 and be at 150. Second key will be at 150. Interesting. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so it starts off at 150 at time 1. Oh, I already have these keys here. Right. So this one we can add the time 4, go up to 150 again. Basically want to graph that starts off at 150, goes down to negative 150. So just 150. And then the last key will have go back up to 150. This one, this curvy. So take 1 second to be exposed and then go back up. And we can take this track, which I'm going to rename. Here, and I'm going to grab the core blocker and add update vector, and we're going to plug in X here. And then when that timeline is done, put a delay. Which will spawn the guns and reset our loop. Okay. There's 1 gun down. 2 guns down. Chorus exposed. Timeline's running. Goes back. And then 2 seconds go. And then the guns will spawn. Okay. Let's wrap this up here. So with chorus exposed, let's do Interesting. using the controller. Otherwise it won't go away when we normal. This one here is remove from parent. Interesting. Yeah, we're gonna have to look at that later. So let's just worry about the boss guns for now. It's gonna be boss damage. I'll just name this thing the boss damage group. Okay, and then the gun, after it begins playing, we'll just have it fire randomly. Maybe not randomly. Maybe it fires for like a few seconds at a time and then shoots. So let's make some projectiles for the boss. Duplicate, create a blueprint based on that again. Let's rename this thing to be instead of projectile child, projectile boss. Make another particle system for it. Let's just duplicate the missile one. And just make some, attach some red smoke to it. And smoke, let's not touch. Okay. So the guns, we'll just have it delay for 2 seconds and then spawn actor from class. We do need a spot for this thing to spawn. Let's just delete this temporarily and let's create a scene. It's going to be spawn point. And we'll just push this thing out to the front. And what we'll do is the gun will spawn actor from class, and this is going to be boss projectile, and the transform is going to be spawn point get transform world. Okay, and then I'm just going to have a loop for now. We'll just set up so it'll be something better. It probably doesn't have the collision behavior that we want, but we will fix that. So it spawns, 2 seconds later it should fire. You know, it might be colliding with itself. So delay, spawn transform. Oh right, we didn't actually assign the, again we didn't assign a particle system to the boss projectile. Go to blueprint and type boss. There goes the projectile. Add a particle system and get the boss projectile. Okay. Okay, so what we can do is set up the collision behavior for the boss projectile, and we'll just do an event overlap, and if we detect that we've collided with the character, we'll cause the character to take damage. What do we actually have something here? All this stuff here, we want this and this to all be actually broken apart into a function. Actually, I'm going to cut these and put a new custom event here. Call it got hit. Paste. We'll just connect that to here, to the branch. And this is going to call got hit instead, so that we can have the gun projectile also call that. Okay. So what should happen is that now these things should be able to collide with the player. And that should die immediately. Okay. Perfect. Alright, and that should be pretty much it for that. So let's just run through and try to get the boss health to be back up to 5,000 and turn the enemy spawning back on. File, and let's take the matinee and scale it back down to 1. Okay, save everything and play. Since never even had a chance. Let's just give it a chance here. Okay. It doesn't actually restart the core, probably because this timeline here needs to do play from start. And while we're here, we can have these guns shoot a little bit faster, as well as have just a little bit more health. Set 50. My missiles in there. It's hard to tell how much health he has. Could probably add something for that. Alright. Cool. And that's it for that tutorial.